Welcome to From Stuck to Scale, Growth Strategies for Small and Mid-Sized Businesses, your guide to navigating growth, transformation, and success in today's ever-changing business landscape. Each week, we'll dive into proven strategies, real-world case studies, and actionable insights designed to help small and mid-sized business owners scale smart, lead stronger, and grow faster. Let's get you unstuck and on the path to sustainable, scalable success. Now your host, Julio Gonzalez.
Welcome back to From Stuck to Scaled, Growth Strategies for Small and Mid-Sized Businesses. I'm your host, Julio Gonzalez. Every week we explore practical strategies, leadership insights, and real-world tools to help small and mid-sized businesses break through barriers and grow with confidence. I'm recording this episode on June 1st. For anyone who's ever been impacted by a hurricane, you know that today is the start of hurricane season. Here in South Florida, some start to think of what storms could come our way, but many will wait until that first storm warning. Which are you? Having worked in corporate America for so many years, business continuity planning is just a fact of life for me. But what about your business? Do you think your business is too small to worry about business continuity or hurricane planning? I'll share a little secret. It's not. So let's get started. This episode of From Stuck to Scaled is brought to you by VCTO Business Consulting. VCTO helps visionary founders and CEOs move from reactive firefighting to confident, scalable leadership. If you're stuck in the weeds and ready to lead at the next level, VCTO provides that strategic guidance, systems thinking, and executive coaching to help you scale with intention. Learn more at vcto.consulting. And now, let's get into the episode. Business continuity is simply your ability to keep things running during chaos, whether that's a hurricane, a cyber attack, or your key employee walking out the door. And disaster recovery, that's about bouncing back fast. It's restoring your systems, your data, and your operations so you can get back to business. But let's be real, most small business owners don't think about this stuff until something goes wrong. We tell ourselves that's for big companies to worry about, right? Until that one day that your power goes out, your server crashes, or even customers can't place orders on your website. If you don't have a plan, you're going to end up scrambling. And scrambling isn't a strategy. For me, business continuity goes back to August 2nd, 1985. Delta Flight 199 crashed just short of the runway in Dallas. A freak weather accident no one knew about brought down a large jetliner. Nobody saw it coming, nobody planned for it. In fact, a number of executives from what was the IBM PC company perished, severely impacting their operations. After that tragedy, aviation changed forever. Today, that weather phenomenon is called wind shear. Because of it, radar got better and pilots got trained differently. The big takeaway was that it often takes a disaster to expose the gaps in our systems. Jump ahead to 1992, Hurricane Andrew slammed into South Florida and wiped out neighborhoods, businesses, entire city blocks. If your records were on paper or your servers were in the back office, you lost it all. Burger King's corporate office was on the water right off Biscayne Bay and subjected to Andrew's storm surge. There were fish from the bay in the third floor computer room. And yes, the mainframe was awash in salty ocean water. Roofs of homes were wiped off, some barely attached. The electric infrastructure was destroyed in many areas. Andrew drove the revision of construction and building codes and awoke the need in many businesses to have a plan for the next disaster. Then came Katrina in 2005, not just a hurricane, but a total infrastructure collapse. Power, water, roads, communication, all gone. Businesses were shut down for months. And of course, then there's COVID. If you couldn't operate remotely or didn't already have cloud-based systems, you were in trouble. We didn't have a plan in place for a global pandemic, not something many would have planned for, but I was aware of what was going on and quickly started ordering equipment to send employees home. What we learned during the pandemic is this: resilience isn't about how big you are, it's about how adaptable you are. But now let's talk about the threats we don't always see coming. the ones that creep up slowly until it's too late, like the business that can't function unless you're present every day. I've worked with owners who haven't taken a vacation in years, not because they don't want to, but because if they leave, everything stops. No invoices go out, orders don't get fulfilled, the team's frozen without direction. That's not a business. This is a single point of failure. If your company falls apart the moment you unplug for a weekend, you don't have a continuity issue. You have a dependency problem. Oh, and what about cyber attacks? Over 40% of them target small businesses, and most of us think we're too small to be a target. But that's exactly why you're attractive to hackers. Less protection, more vulnerability. There's an ongoing cyber attack impacting over 150,000 small businesses in the US. One of those belongs to an acquaintance. They don't know who's hosting their website, who has access to do anything about it, nothing. The impacted site is sitting there on their domain and they're helpless to do anything about it. I'll go ahead and put a link to that article in the comments below. Then there are extended power outages, California fires, supply chain details, or worse, the unexpected death or disability of a business owner. If your leadership gets pulled out of the picture suddenly, can someone else step in and steer the ship? The list goes on and on. I've been told I'm morbid for thinking about everything that can happen, but as the old saying goes, failing to plan is planning to fail. So, what does good continuity planning actually look like for a small business? Well, here's the big one: know your cost of downtime. Ask yourself, if we had to close tomorrow, how much would we lose per hour, per day? Would we miss payroll? Is there a specific day of the week that's particularly impactful to be shut down? Would our customers walk away after 48 hours of silence? It's easy to ignore these questions until you're forced to answer them under pressure. Downtime isn't just about revenue, it's momentum, reputation, and even your future. For a lot of small businesses, even 1 week of downtime can be the difference between staying open and shutting down. When you know your cost of being offline, suddenly backing up your systems or training a second in command doesn't feel like overhead, it feels like insurance. So let's bring in some numbers. FEMA says 40% of small businesses never reopen after a disaster. Let that sink in. 40%. Another 25% shut down within a year. That's 65% of all businesses close down after a disaster. And here's the truth: your customers, they don't care why you're closed. They just want to know if you can still serve them, period. Waiting for a disaster to strike before you start planning is like waiting for your house to catch on fire before buying a smoke detector. It's too late. Now that I've made you think about all the adverse impacts to your business, what can you do about it? Let's make this practical. You don't have to overhaul your entire business overnight. Just start with these 5 simple steps. First, back up your data today, securely and offsite. Offsite being not in your office. Make sure that you can restore it too. With modern cloud technology, this is easier than ever. If you have an iPhone, make sure that it's backing up to the cloud. There's a switch for that. You can load PCs with software, and that'll take care of them. Your server, your IT technician can handle that for you too. Second, create an emergency folder. Your team, your vendor's contact information, your IT person, your landlord, account logins, SOPs, bank access, insurance policies. If you're not around, someone needs a roadmap. Have it handy. You don't need anything fancy. Keep it on paper, somewhere secure. Create a file you email yourself so that it's permanently stored on that cloud server. It doesn't take a lot. Third, enable multi-factor authentication and run a basic cybersecurity checkup. I'm sure you're using at least one web application that requires you to enter the code they send to your phone. Make sure you turn that on for every software that you use. And talk to your IT technician to make sure your internet is secured with a firewall. Pretty much every modem on the planet has a firewall, but is it properly configured? Can you add to it? A little extra security goes a long, long way. Fourth, host a 1 hour tabletop exercise. Pick a scenario, a storm, a system crash, and walk through what you'd do. This is a fun one, at least if you're into disaster planning like me. Grab your top leaders in the organization, maybe bring along some close advisors, and lock yourself into a conference room for an hour. Ask yourselves the questions like, what happens if we lose power for a day? What if the business is flooded out and we can't reopen for a week? Go around the room and consider each scenario and solution carefully. Lastly, calculate your cost of downtime. Work with your sales team, your accountant, or your CPA to get to that number. And yes, I've heard it many times. If we're closed for an afternoon, we'll make it up the next day. Are you sure about that? If you want to take the easy way out, take your annual sales, say 500,000. Divide that by the number of hours you're open in a year, say 2,080, and you'll get an hourly rate of sales, in this case $240 an hour, that you're losing while unable to conduct business. Or add up the hourly rate of your entire payroll. That's salary dollars wasted for each hour down. Add up the two, and you have a more complete picture. That's what you're losing every hour. Does a loss of $500 sound okay for an hour of downtime? How about $4,000 for a day? $20,000 for a week? A solid business continuity plan can help reduce this cost. Resilience isn't just about surviving the unexpected. It's about being able to step away without fear, whether that's for a week in the mountains or a month in recovery from something you never saw coming. Small business isn't easy, but the peace of mind that comes from knowing your team, systems, and data are protected, that's priceless. Disasters don't schedule appointments. You need to be ready at all times. If you do nothing else, here are 3 things you should do today to protect your business. First, write down all your key contacts and accounts, your vendors, CPA, user ID and password to your critical systems, etc., and keep those somewhere you can always access. Talked about that one earlier. Next, look at your workplace. Are you in an area that floods? An area with lots of trees that could block the road after a storm? Make a plan to address those physical risks, or at least understand how you can be impacted and work around them. And last, understand your cyber risk. How protected is your business from hackers or viruses? Talk to whoever handles your IT and ask them. I'm putting a link in the comments to a simple business continuity plan, so grab that real quick and start working on that before you get too distracted. Well, that brings this episode of From Stuck to Scale to an end. You've got homework to do. Who do you know who needs to improve their business continuity plan? Share this episode with them. Be sure to subscribe, leave a review, and let me know what topics are important to you so I can cover those in future episodes. Protecting your business doesn't have to be complex, but you do need to take action. Don't wait until the next power outage or hurricane warning to get started. See you next time.
You've been listening to From Stuck to Scaled, Growth Strategies for Small and Mid-sized Businesses, produced by Optocution LLC. For more information, tools, and resources, check out our website www.redefinepossible.co/podcast.